captain's meeting as well as group draw show. My name is Flay, the LOL director of Aegis. For the group show, for everyone here on Twitch as well as stage, we've got 51 people here in Discord, and on Twitch, I'll just double check here, about 50 or so people. For everyone who's joining us, thank you so much. As unexpected, my mic has a lot of static. Thank you, Watercat. Let me know if it is better. As expected here. Yes. Alright, testing 1, 2, 3. Any issues here? Okay. Give me one moment here. I'm gonna unplug and replug my leg. I'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. Flay is experiencing some technical difficulties. That's all right. I'm just going to come in and start talking. We can get this underway. Hello, Flay.
Hello? Can you hear me?
No, I think it's fixed. Can somebody in chat verify that Flay's mic is fixed? Confirmed fixed. Okay.
Okay, I'm good
Awesome.
to go then.
Yeah, take it away. I'll be here to join you. Yeah.
Alright, thank you everyone. As I was saying here, I do appreciate it. Thank everyone for telling me it's fixed now. Again, as I was saying here, I do appreciate all the 50-some people who have joined us in Discord, as well as people on Twitch. I'll state one more time for everyone who didn't listen that we're finally live on Twitch here. Any Twitch-related questions, I will check at the very end, unfortunately. The priority will be any questions at tab. I'll try to get to them as they're relevant, kind of how the flow goes. I will get to every question by the end, though. I won't leave here before answering every question. But until then here, as stated before, we're going to go through the boring parts, obviously, kind of in the rulebook, get all the changes away here in Aegis. And then once we do that, we will go through the draw show in reverse ELO order, which means we'll start AML and then end in AEL. For our APL friends here, obviously, there's no draw show because you're all in the same group. Moving forward here into Aegis Winter 2024 here, we're going to basically start here with the first change in the league information tab here. It's kind of summarizing, what's kind of happened here, generally speaking. So down in the league information tab, basically, really no major difference besides the split in the season. That's the only thing that's really been changed here. You're guys are gonna see some confusion. Basically, the future of using split in the season as we get closer and closer to season 13 and season 14, and the splits become more defined. You'll start seeing the word split be used a lot more often as opposed to the word season. So just be aware about confusion. If you have any questions, you can always address that. But the first major list of changes here are going to be in a list of leagues, which, as many of you know, the ELOs have changed, and so have the ELOs and Aegis. So we kind of have the 4 leagues back here. Last split here, we effectively only really had 3 cap leagues. We're back to 4 here. So some kind of brief changes I'm sure you guys all know here. For one, AML, back from being a peak list league, back to being a peak league based here. So we have a 600 LP pack, you guys are aware, as well as the addition of the previous season history. So secondary history tab, we'll talk a bit more about later, which gives you 700 LP from the last 2 years. Again, nothing crazy here. The introduction of ADL. This is basically our in-between league here. Now, if the entrance of Emerald, we think it's necessary to have a place where kind of the bottom of AML can play, as well as the top end of Plat, which is now kind of mid to high diamond, and that's been added. As you all know, Executioners, aka Emerald, basically a continuation of old Platinum, is also here. And finally, this is the one that was probably the most technical in terms of the actual rules changes here. APL, because of the fact that we have a new ELO and Emerald. This is the one that has the most unique previous season's requirement. But again, nothing particularly crazy in that end here. I'm sure you guys all know here because obviously you've applied. The additional changes are going to go through the entry fee again, just to confirm, as you are aware. Again, for all your captains here, most of you have paid, but who haven't here, we did see some changes to the entry fee, especially the FF deposit. I'm going to talk about the forfeit deposit in detail here because that's the one part that has changed. Some previous Aegis splits, we used to look at matches more specifically in terms of actual games. So I want to kind of clarify here for every league, because every league now has an FF deposit, including APL, and how the thing is going to work. So in the forfeit deposit here, you'll see basically the actual layout. I want to make 2 things clear. One, what is defined as a match for both playoffs and regular seasons, and red print there, as you guys are aware. A regular season match is defined as 2 games, a playoff match is designed as 3 games. All that means is you FF a playoff series or a regular season match, that's how many games you will be counting. And then in the actual tab here, you can see how the FF works. It is front-loaded, which basically means if you FF 1 game or 1 match, or 2 games, you're going to lose most of your FF deposit. And to be clear here, so an example we use here is if let's say you're an AEL team and you FF game 1 in week 1 and FF game 1 in week 6 or week 5, that's 2 games. That's going to be 15 of your FF deposit loss. So, you know, even if you don't FF the entire match, but 2 games, because that equals a regular season match, will cause you lose 15 or aka 60% of your deposit. The same thing for AML and ADL, but obviously with 30 due to higher scale. So be aware of the new FF rules. We are counting individual games here. We're trying to basically crack down on teams FFing. We think a higher fee, especially for AML and ADL, and the prize pools are a bit bigger, the competition's a bit higher. You know, really don't want teams FFing week 7 and week 6 here, and basically not really screwing people over, but kind of giving someone a free win, which they don't really deserve, and potentially changing seeding coming in the playoffs. So we hope a higher FF fee and then being a more front-loaded FF fee will deter some people from FFing. Moving forward here, let's move down here. For prize pools, nothing really changed here, so we're good to go here. There's the next major change here. One moment. Alright, if you go to section 1.2 in eligibility, I'm just going to clarify here some rules here for eligibility here. A couple minor changes as well as relative changes here. For one, as you guys are probably already aware, the account level is now a minimum of 100. You know, something you got, obviously most of you are well over 100, but just kind of letting you know. In addition, the big changes here is now if the split's going in, we're going to start having a more, I guess, what's the word for it? Separated requirement. So as you guys all know, it's 120 for season 2023, but that is front-loaded into split 2023-2 into 80. And there's also the additional requirements here that you have to meet if you don't have them in 2024-1. Reminder for everyone here, you guys do need 10 games by 2024-1 week 1. So for ADL, you guys are up first. That'll be Monday. That would be needed to be eligible. So please get those games in here for captains. I want to repeat that again. It's not a change from previous ages splits. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same numbers before. Just kind of be aware here. Additionally, right below that in Article 1.2.8 for playoff minimum games, a slight change has happened here. We have reduced that number to 40. That's mainly because of the format changes that have happened. I'll kind of go more in detail about when we talk about the leagues, but as you guys have noticed, of course, there is no more qualifiers if it's completely removed. There's a lot of reasons for that, but the main reason is that with Riot's new split system, we are going to try to attempt to run free splits here. And with that being the case, we simply can't run 12, 13, 14, even 15-week formats like we used to prior. Formats have to be shorter. I think every format's 9 to 11 weeks off the top of my head here. And so qualifiers have been removed. And with qualifiers being removed and the regular season being shorter in general of the group stages, playoff requirements are down to 40. So again, be aware of that. And also be aware, it doesn't matter how many games you played in season 2023. I don't care if you played 10,000. And some of you guys have played so many games that I'm worried about you. But you got to play at least 40 and just be aware about playoffs. So we'll give you guys reminders 2 weeks prior to that. Besides that here, we'll go into section 1.4 in the solo queue warrior clause here. We face some events here of solo queue warrior, and the big changes here, of course, are the fact that we can now see LPs for Masters players. I'm sure you guys are aware here, only AEL and APL can actually do the solo queue warrior clause. And there has also been some changes here in the fact that we're not allowing combined splits anymore. So we're treating each split separate. It's only for 2 leagues now. It's a lot more strict here. And the reason it's a lot more strict is really Aegis, we don't really believe in the concept of exceptions. Fundamentally, our solo queue warrior clause is like our exception. Like some leagues have exceptions for a cap rank here. That's kind of what our exception is here. And we, you know, want to truly make it an exception, so you have to really earn it. And again, we also added something different here. This is also relevant for future players. If you notice here, any solo queue warrior PO has to be up to admin approval. So even if you played the 300 games, there's no guarantee you get it in. This is also relevant. I know a couple of players here, teams here, with captains, had players who peaked, you know, one elo above last split in 2023-2. You know, if they want to play in Aegis, this split technically or next split, and start working those games now because you're gonna need a good amount. Moving forward here, everything are actually relevant here. Give me one moment. Not relevant. Not relevant. Not relevant. Not relevant. Not particularly relevant. Let's see here. Move down here to section 3.7 in roster additions, specifically to 3.74 and FRAs. FRAs themselves have not changed, just to be clear, but really what we're trying to discuss here is the actual situation when it comes to reserves. Now, as you guys have noticed, reserves do not exist anymore. They're not really a section in the rulebooks, there's nothing to put, so we're going to use the FRAs as kind of an example here. But prior in Aegis, we had the concept of reserves, which basically meant you declared 60% of your sub pool, 3 out of the 5 subs you had maximum, had to be reserves, which had special declaration rules needed. That's been completely removed. For many of you who play in different leagues, we're going to be functioning like other leagues. It's 5 subs. So to be clear here, you get 5 starters, you get 5 subs. All 10 players eligible. You can technically sub them all in if you want to. Doesn't really happen, but if you want to, you can. There's no more special rules, which also means the clarification steps when it comes to emergency substitutes are kind of gone away here. So essentially here, we're operating like other leagues are. If you play in these other leagues, you can kind of sub people in you out. You don't have to declare someone 24 hours ahead. The reserve system's kind of gone. And the main reason we removed the reserve system is we felt that, generally speaking, it just added more complexity to both teams and admins of just extra steps like, hey, these guys are reserved, we got declared, blah, 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 blah. Didn't really feel like it was too impactful, so kind of add that information there. So again, there are no more reserves. They've been completely removed. Be aware of that. In addition here, I'm going to move down to section 3.11. It's solo queue mandate. Second, my computer just froze up. Okay, we're good. Section 3.11, the solo queue mandate. This is only relevant for AML here. As you can see here, the solo queue mandate has been removed from AML. It's not a thing anymore. There's no more required games. It only really exists here in the ADL, AEL, and APL situation. And realistically here for ADL, we have the kind of the criteria here. But again, just letting you know for AML players here, not only do you not have a solo queue warrior, you also don't have a solo queue mandate. In terms of what you actually expect as a player now in AML, this is for all the Masters captains here. Realistically, just getting those 10 games in by week 1 and 40 games in by playoffs. Everything else here is more or less gone. And then for ADL players, again, those solo queue warriors, so pretty clear-cut cap situation here, but the mandate still does exist.
Just gonna cut in quickly here, Flay.
Sure.
I know Flay mentioned that the mandate is not there for AML. But please keep in mind you need those 40 games to be eligible for playoffs. If you end up not playing any games and then you're 1 day away from playoffs and you need 30 games, there will be no exceptions made. So make sure you get your games in on your own time. But besides that, I just wanted to make sure that everybody's aware you need those 40 games. The solo queue mandate is not the playoff game requirement. That's all.
Thank you, Oliver, for information. But yeah, again, for AML, especially for AML, for all leagues, you can't sit there and do nothing. Please play your games. Listen, I've seen you guys. I unfortunately have looked at too many of your accounts. Some of you guys need to play significantly less League of Legends, so 40 should be very reasonable here. Moving down here to section 5.3 and ready check here. Any kind of situation this year, and tardiness and ready check here. A small change, just due to the fact that reserves have been removed here, is the fact here that we are increasing the additional scouting time, in section 5.3 here to 10 minutes of additional scouting. This will be reflective also in the rulebook. I believe the rulebook has been updated. If not the rulebook, sorry, but master sheet. Be aware, 10 minutes, not 5 minutes. It's a very small, minor change. I know everyone's used to 5 minutes, but I just want to be aware here about if a sub is used, a team does have an additional 10 minutes of scouting. Just kind of be aware of that. Besides that, really, there is no major rule changes here. Besides that, we'll talk about the formats as we get to the leagues. But realistically, kind of summarize the situation here for everyone. One, there's no more reserves. That's really the biggest rule change, to be honest. It's just straight substitutes here. So, one moment. It's really just substitutes here. So again, like most other leagues, you've played in other leagues before, functions the same way. Two, kind of the mandate process here and the warrior process is slightly changed, really just for the ADL and AML community. For APL and ADL, it's more or less exactly the same here. And then for the FF situation, again, be aware that FFs are not front-loaded and are treated by games. So, this is trying to discourage people from FFing. Those are kind of the 3 major rule changes. Feel free to ask in questions. There's also slightly minor ones. I'd like to recommend everyone, at the very bottom, you didn't know this existed, at the very bottom of the rulebook, it's called the change log here. I basically summarize every change I do and where you find those changes. You can basically see them in order when the changes have been made and what the actual changes are. You can effectively see here, whatever changes are. So if you have any small changes, like for example, we have slight small changes here, like I said, the 10 minutes of scouting, for example, it's relevant here, or of a season length, etc. Blah blah blah. You can kind of read out there, and that gives you a good understanding what exactly happened. Finally, I'll mention this as well before we get into the actual draw situation. You guys are probably wondering here what happened to the EAT list. The EAT list is being reformed. We paused it from last split, and the reason we did that is because, quite frankly, with all the changes of Riot, all the LP gains, the general situation, how they extended the split, basically randomly to kind of tell us we're extending the preseason, we didn't feel like you know, a lot of a Yeet list is based on not just your performance in the league, but also your solo queue performance. And we didn't think that one portion, a huge portion of a Yeet list, was being fairly represented with Riot. So that's being paused. It'll be reformed and it'll be released. It'll still exist. Don't worry. The release has basically been paused for everyone last splits. Everyone who's still on the watch list is still on the watch list. Everyone is still, you know, yeeted is still yeeted, unless they've appealed, of course. But we'll give you an updated formula and give you information for next split, which would be what, split 2 of summer. Besides that, here, I'm going to get ready to move in Mr. Moose, if I can find him. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Just 1 second here. Mr. Moose, he told me he is ready. I'm just waiting for him. While I wait for Mr. Moose to join the stage, I'm going to kind of describe here Marauder and what's going on here. So, Marauder is a 28-team format. Nothing really crazy here. It's groups of 7. Do be aware for everyone here. We'll talk about in the draw show as well. We had a team drop last minute, late last night. They're going to be considered as a bye situation. Pretty confident we will get a team in there, but just in case, we're going to treat them as a bye in pool 5. And the reason we're going to do that is because in the worst case scenario that we don't get a team replacement in, you know, we're treating the bye almost in a way kind of like a free win here. So that's kind of a general understanding here. So just be aware when you get to pool 5 and you only see 3 teams out of 4, one of them's a bye. Well, that's kind of the reason here. Speaking of Mr. Moose, oh, there he is. Mr. Moose, how are you today?
Oh boy. I'm here. You know, I was told 40 minutes. It was going to take 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So you guys are just like speed demons over here.
I'll be honest, I sat there and I was like, wait a minute, I can probably do this like 15, 20.
Hey, I love that. Love that.
For Snapsy, I see that question here that you have on here. What's the deadline for AML Bylin? If you have not applied yet and you're looking to apply, ASAP, because we have a replacement team that is available, because we have actually exhausted some of our waitlist teams, and the teams that who have applied, who haven't been accepted, are rejected. So ASAP, if you've applied and you haven't paid yet, please contact our commissioner Ivar, because the payment is technically late and you can discuss the situation. Moving forward here, I was just actually about the format, Moose, so great time to come in here. As stated, we are 28 teams a split, 4 down from last split 32. We are groups of 7. So what that basically means is that each group obviously has 7 teams. The top 4 makes playoffs, bottom 3 gets eliminated. Odd number of teams in everyone will get 1 cross group game with a pool equivalent seed here. And basically that will be considered really only for extreme tiebreakers. It's not going to be a super relevant game, to be honest with you. I'll actually clarify here in the competitive format with the captains exactly what it means, but it's basically a tiebreaker and overall record, which will only be relevant if a team has equal seeding and equal matching game record in in regular season and they're in playoffs. So that cross group game is going to be basically like a tertiary tiebreaker. So don't be super worried about that, but there will be 1 cross group game per team here. Besides that, single round robin, everyone else in the group. And we have pooled the teams in 5 pools here. And the pools for AML are actually decided very linearly. What I mean about it is that there was a lot of discretion. We just took, you know, peaks of all 5 teams, all 5 stars, excuse me, that were relevant teams. We confirmed them. And then, 1 second. You don't have to actually be here technically in the draw, so if you want to watch your team together, that's perfectly okay. Just make sure that your actual rulebook was here. In addition, sorry, interruption there. Yeah, we basically just took the 5 highest LP, because almost all the teams are Master Plus Revolver ratings, added up their peak ranks and ordered them. It's a pretty similar format to ACL, slight adjustments. Consider to be relevant for AML here because you have LP. And order the teams from 1 to 28, basically. And, you know, where you're in the pool is where you're in the pool. So, without further ado here, Mr. Moose here, we're going to basically start off here. And in our pool 1 situation here, we're going to have the following teams. And let me get that list up here for everyone here. And Mr. Benson, whenever you're ready, you can also get that list up as well. Okay, 1 moment here. Okay, so in pool 1, we have 8 teams. We have Travelers, Mario Kart 7, Dorado Gaming Zeta, the Sad Boys, Akuma Blades, Harry's, Dorado Gaming Chi or Zai, I blame Zol, and Bing Chillers Masters. Those were the 8 highest ranked LP teams based off their starters, and there are the 8 8 pool 1 teams. Now be aware, before we get this started, I want to be very clear here. I'm sure you guys are aware, but teams of the same organization cannot be together. For AML, it's only relevant to 2 orgs, Dorado and ID. Now obviously, we're about to find out Dorado's situation here more or less immediately, but effectively for Dorado teams, there will be 2 pool 1 seeds per group. Whenever a Dorado team is landed, obviously everyone has to be in the upper 3 groups. That's pretty much it. Moving forward then, if we are ready, Benjamins, Mr. Moose, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, phenomenal. We're gonna spin the first team here. And Benjamins, whenever you're ready, let's get this pool started here. My goodness.
Oh!
Speaking of Dorado Gaming Zeta, kind of a well-known house name here in the amateur scene for anyone here. Returning with Frosty, Nukes, Odin, Indigo, and Joker at the support role. Mr. Moose, do you have any thoughts in this team? And yes, this is for AML. Do you have any thoughts in this team coming into the Shurima group?
Oh boy. I mean, don't mess up. Don't mess it up. Dorado has not particularly been the most successful, but they have had middling success. Is this the year that we see a Dorado Gaming team win?
Yeah, when it comes to Masters League, for sure, I have to agree here. Zeta especially has been kind of a disappointment here, and AML specifically, for multiple splits now. And it will be seen here as a pool 1 seed, you know, what a higher rated seed's coming in, and generally a high expectation for Dorado. Can they do something besides, you know, lose in the first or second round of the playoffs, like you said here?
But I mean, like, look at that bottom line though. Like Indigo and Joker, like that's Joker's played a couple of AMLs. We got some players that know what they're doing here.
100%. You would hope with Team like Dorado here can actually perform, and the players they have actually get a strong finish here. We're going to move on to the second drawing here. Again, everyone be aware for Dorado Gaming Jai, they cannot be in that group. Just be aware about that, guys. Besides that, we're good to go here. And we may even have that issue. Wait a minute. We may not even have that issue because the wheel has blessed us by picking the second Dorado team, Dorado Gaming Chi, into group. The second group here, excuse me. Dorado Gaming Chi here, a lineup of the following. Let me get this out here. There's a lineup here. One moment here, everyone. Of HTK, Halls, Severed, Uzi Upset, or Rasant, and then Hey, I am Cooter. Now, Benjamins, any thoughts of the second Dorado team joining the Void group here into AML? You're speaking, Mr. Moose. You are muted.
Oh, you said Benjamins.
Oh, I apologize. Go on.
I'm not familiar with. I don't remember any of these players from last split. If you guys were part of a team, correct me if I'm wrong. But hey, you know, like, you get an opportunity to show what you can do. Again, you know, which Dorado team is the better team? There's always that competition, right? Because there's usually like two, maybe 3 Dorado teams and 2 teams in an AML. So it's always fun to see who comes out on top.
100%. I mean, yeah, this is a team with some experience here. We've seen Halls and other amateur stadiums, same with HTK here in Sivert. So the top side here, something I'm familiar with. I've seen them have success here, so I'm not exactly sure. Zeta seems, at least on paper, to be kind of a prime team here, but obviously both Dorado teams are pool 1 for a reason here. You're going to expect both of them to do pretty well here in the actual AML settings and moving forward. Now we have 5 teams left, actually 6 teams left, my apologies, in AML pool 1 here. We're going to spend Iona's team, sorry, English. Obviously, no matter of the Dorado situation here. So with that being said here, we're going to have a Bing Chillers Masters here joining here. And that is Void, Youngling, Demo, Rafts, and Oreo Murder. A lot of household names here, Moose. Any thoughts have been coming with the Iona?
I mean, Demo, get out of Diamond. What's this? What's going on here? What's going on? You gotta join an Emerald League? No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, Big Chillers, they've, I mean, I've seen them around, not just in Aegis, but in other leagues. So, you know, again, having a organization that you can rally behind, get feedback from, maybe cast your games if you're not on the mainstream is going to be value. So let's see what you got.
Sure. I mean, with a roster of Demo, Youngling, Void, Oreo Water, and Rafi here in the 80 carry role. I mean, it's an experienced roster of Bing Chillers has basically turned other tournaments as well, in both Diamond and Masters. You know, Bing Chillers as an organization, generally very strong, as you mentioned. A lot of semifinals appearances, a couple finals appearances, generally a strong playoff team here. Demo, while he is a Diamond mid laner here, he's actually, I think, one of the only Diamond players in the pool 1 seeds. He's a lot of experience in the actual scene. He's a great neutralizer mid laner. Does really well in competition that is better than him. So even though on paper, at least, of course, I'm not speaking my personal experience, but on paper, purely on a rankings, Demo is the weakest player here. Obviously, he has shown, in my personal experience, watching him in many elos, being able to outperform his level rating with other higher evo players to kind of neutralize him. So while, you know, you think the mid lane would be a question here of Demo, I think Demo will be perfectly fine here. And obviously we've seen Void, a young lane, top lane, and multiple Big Chillers seem to do very well. And Ori Murder, again, experience of a lot of masters. So, you know, this Big Chillers organization coming in Iona here, trying to make a splash and maybe another deep run.
Oh, big spin right here, because you've got, you know, the returning champion, top laner in Mario Kart 7. You've got, you know, Kuma Blades, who has done well. The Sad Boys, I think, returning champion as well. Big spin.
And speaking about our returning champion, the Sad Boys, they're going to join us here. And I want to be completely honest with everyone here. I will butcher this name here, but in the fourth group here, joining in here, Sad Boys, you know, Mr. Moose. Any thoughts on Sad Boys returning to Aegis?
Let's see what you can do. I mean, you can't go wrong with the 2004 Lexus.
Can't go on with 2004 Lexus here. Joined by Lord Kuzo, LJSS, Ducko Bark, and Firelight TV here. I mean, Sad Boys and Oregon team has won Aegis before. And coming back in the league, I mean, this is a group that we don't really have to explain too often here. They've kind of proven the worth and playing Masters League so far. They avoid, I guess, some of the harder Masters League, could argue here. Still Mario Kart 7 that's available here. It could actually be drawn into, but still a pretty good draw.
And they're usually a team that rounds out their roster with subs as well, so they can switch out in different games. If I recall correctly, that was something they were talking about last split, was like, hey, I want to have those subs available so that if we want to go for a different play style or have a different champion available, we can do that. And so, like, Ratchet's been around, and Splash Bro, I believe, has also been around, so pretty well developed team.
100% here. And we're going to go to Shurima here. As you mentioned before, Moose, King Coney, literally the AML MVP, is still available here to be picked. It will be very, well, I shouldn't have spoken. Mario Kart gets drawn in with Dorado, Gaming, Zeta. Already looking like a very strong group here in Shurima. Moose, I'll let you take it away here. Roster of King Coney, Lonery, The Balls, Wistfully, and Mr. Kiwis. What are your thoughts on Mario Kart 7?
Oh boy, I mean, like, you can't go wrong with multiple wins. Kiwis and Wistfully, a dominant bottom lane, bottom duo, one of the best that I've been able to watch. Sunset's, of course, amazing. A A-list team that commands respect. I remember last split, like, you know, they were like, oh, you know, it was GG Grandma didn't necessarily do that well in group stage. Connie Sports X, the big team, blah, 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 blah. But then came back into it in the playoffs, said, okay, now we'll actually start playing the game. So don't let a early win against Mario Kart 7 be like, oh, we're a better team than them. These are proven players that know what they're doing.
100% here. I do want to remind everyone here, there's no more qualifiers. There's no more, I guess you can say in auto ways, an additional league, but also kind of a savior for teams that start poorly. You know, you can't start poorly here and be bailed out by the format. You know, if you start poorly and you're out of playoffs, you're out of playoffs. So stronger starts are needed here. You know, but there's only 6 technical group games, so, you know, every loss is pretty major here. Only 3 teams left: Travelers, Akuma Blades, and Harry's. And we're going to spin here. Who's going to join us in Void. Oh, I'm excited here. And I think it may be Travelers, if that's correct here. Yes, Travelers will be joining us here in the group of Void, a roster of Little Fizzy, Light, TSM Burger, Trash Panda, and Meeps. Any thoughts on this roster, Moose, coming into AML?
The only player that I personally have knowledge about is Fizzy in the top lane. So for me at least, and I guess for maybe a lot of other AML players, there might be you guys might know more if you guys are in other Masters of the leagues, but, you know, new-ish team, and they are highly rated. Like, you know, they are a Pool 1 team. So let's see what they, you know, let's see what they can do. And honestly, a high quality logo.
Is there a high quality, you have to admit there? I mean, just for a logo themselves, a tier 1. But yeah, I've seen Meeps and Little Fizzy in other leagues before. I know the quality of players they have here. Meeps, Little Fizzy, as well as Light here. I mean, I don't really know much about mid-bot, to be completely honest with everyone here, but if Little Fizzy and Meeps and Light are cool playing with his bot support, and they are technically the highest rated LP league of any team here. There's nothing really to expect but good things here. They're gonna join Dorado Gaming Jai here in Void, kind of in the second group. There's only 2 spots. It's Akuma Blades and Ares. Both can be drawn either group here. We're gonna draw Ionia first. Ionia first. For Akuma Blades here, who, wow, it's almost like I'm leaking the script live as the draw is happening. Akuma Blades has joined Ionia here. Very familiar names. I think I have no introductions here for you. Any familiar with the Master Scene? We have Sivir, Riddy, Wind, Maltalis, and Tizzle coming into Akuma Blades here. Kind of a revamp Austin from what they applied with here. A lot of well-known names. A lot of teams have success in AML here, and they join Big Chillers in Ionia. What are your thoughts on this team, Moose?
Very volatile. I think that Akuma as a team, lot redemption, hopefully, for last split. You know, coming into the AML, when I came into the AML, you guys were a very high-rated team. You guys were... I've known Akuma Blade since I was casting Victorious. Like, I know what you guys can do, but can you live up to that expectation? Can you show us what you can bring? And you've got a roster that, I mean, I know all 5 of the players. Like, they're obviously well-known and capable players, but show us in games that you can make it happen. And now with them going with Big Chillers, extremely volatile division, I think. And I think that that's going to be one that's going to be exciting to watch.
100% here. And I mean, it's a formality. Not really waste too much time here. It's going to be Harry's here in the last group. And, you know, as we get this draw going on here for Harry's, I'm going to list out the roster here. We are looking at Kit Kat, Evil Lobster, Andromeda, I cannot pronounce the name, Brandy Frog,
Andromeda,
thank you, Brandy Fan, and Jordan Bot. What are your thoughts on the Hares joining the final group?
Honestly, have no clue. I have no clue who any of the players are. So that is a good thing and that is a bad thing. You know, you are tier 1. You're tier 1 for a reason. You have high LP, some of the highest LP in the league. So on paper, you guys should be able to perform really well and show me what you guys are going to be able to do. But maybe also you are an unknown. You are, you know, you're an X factor, and so that is both exciting and also maybe an opportunity for you to prove yourself.
100%. I mean, there's not really much you have to prove yourself in your Q1 team. Again, I mean, LP's not everything, but generally speaking, if you come into a Masters roster in a Masters league, I expect you to at least make playoffs here. So while, again, personally as well, if I'll be honest, don't know these players too familiar from other leagues, I expect Arctic Force Harris here to do pretty well. That is the original Pool 1 seeds. There's 8 Pool 1 seeds here. Now we're going to enter Pool 2 when there's only 4 teams. Indigo, Elysian Esports, ID Blasters, or Iridash and Dawn, and Iceborne Black. Again, ranked by LP Peaks, and this was the kind of next category of groups ranked up together. All these teams can play in any group. There's no restrictions. Benjamins, whenever you're ready, let us see who's going to join us in Shurima.
Oh, wow.
ID Blasters has joined Shurima here in the group here. And this is the ID Blasters org. I'm going to list it out here, everyone. Whenever I can find, there you are. Bennett, Sir Rizzle, Langzort, Dreamo, and Yarg are joining us here. ID Blasters coming into Shurima. Any thoughts on this team entering him?
Now, if I recall correctly, some of these Iridescent Dawn players were in the semifinals match that Iridescent Dawn played last split. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong. I could be incorrect, but no, Iridescent far run last split. So let's see if they're able to do it again. I'm pretty sure that it was Yarg and Rizel. I could be 100% mistaken. I have terrible memory, but players that are known within at least the AML and the Masters level scene, you got your work cut out for you in Shurima for sure.
So to be clear for everyone here, it is the Blasters, not the Eclipse logo. Should be fixed now, or just be aware if that has been fixed. Thank you. Next draw here in Void, we got Indigo, Elysian Esports, and Iceborne Black. Again, ranked by the LP Peaks here. from top to very bottom. Who will be joining us in Void?
Oh, Iceborne Black, baby, let's go.
Yes, sir. Iceborne Black has joined us here into the Void. A lot of familiar names here. I'll go down the list here in a moment. We are joined by I'm Bad Your Offer, Stoop Donk, Holy Carrot, Humphreys, and Lord Christio. Mr. Moose here, what are your thoughts on this Void group and Iceborne?
I'm Bad, you're awful. You're not a diamond player. Get out of diamond, you goon. Holy Carrot, Ellie Carrot, playing mid again. I'm excited to see what bitty banter you're gonna bring to the table for this split. And it's Iceborne Black, like one of the most consistent playoff teams I think since that I have had the pleasure of casting for here in the AML for the 3 splits that I've cast. So expectations are there, and going in with, on paper, you've got proven skill going up against potentially players that don't necessarily have that same level of experience. Could be another opportunity for them to show that, hey, they are a tier 1 team, even though they were placed down in tier 2.
100%. Just to be clear, I wasn't even breathing there. Everyone in chat here. Okay, I was actually holding my breath. So this is literally some fake news here, because I was actually holding my breath for about 15 seconds. Moving over, though, yes, joining the Void group here. Yeah, as you said, very consistent playoff team here in Iceborne. We'll see if it can actually make a deep run. It's one thing if an Iceborne organization tends to struggle in. You see him in quarterfinals, see him in round of 16, the first, second round, but rarely do I ever see him in semis plus. So we'll see if that changes here in this upcoming AML split. 2 more teams to go. Elysian Esports and Indigo. Indigo is joining us here in Iona. Yes, Big Chillers Masters, Akuma Blades, and Indigo are in the group here. Indigo's roster here, I'll lay it out for you. Kazi, Lip Pistol, XJ Veil, Vanilla ADC, and Dunzi. What are your thoughts here, Moose, coming into the 30?
Vanilla ADC trying to show us again that they are a top tier player. And gosh, what was their ranking in last split? Didn't they falter at quarterfinals?
I can tell you in one moment here as you keep speaking.
I'm pretty sure, but Vanilla ADC, I think a highly respected bottom laner. XJVL as well, coming in with some players that I'm not too familiar with in the top side. So don't get snuffed a victory here. Don't get yourself in trouble, because I believe in the power of the Vanilla ADC.
100% here. And I mean, obviously that means there's only one group left here. Elysian Esports. You're gonna have to be drawn here in the final group. Elysian Esports here is joined by the following players here, and that is going to be Bada, Nuzgraze, Ari, Zaya, and Respert, aka Croat. So Zaya and Croat in the bot lane here. Yeah. Joining the final group here, Mr. Moose. What are your thoughts here on this upcoming team?
Man, it's Zeha. I was wondering where they were going to be at after the collapse of Team Ambition. Really unfortunate, and you kind of wonder, had TA not just imploded as an org, would they have been able to find themselves in finals last split in the AML? Zeha is extremely potent in the bottom lane. A lot of really well-known bottom lane players here in AML. A lot of experience now, and everyone knows I love Zeha. One of the first master level players that I got to cast. So not biased, but just appreciate them continuing up with it, and is super excited to see what they're going to be able to do. And they're up against some stiff competition. Oh boy. What I'm looking at right now is a super chaotic, unpredictable Ionia group, because I think that Indigo maybe has the opportunity to beat those tier 1 players. Ixtal going to be extremely competitive, and I am very scared for who plays in Jurima. It's going to be a very, very stacked roster.
100% here. Now we're going to be in pool 3. Pool 3, another 4-group pool here of Gump Slayers, Celestial Aspire, DZG, and this Volt here. The next 4 teams here based on LP here joining us forward. The spin is in. We're going to have DZG Sticks here in Shurima joining Dorado Gaming Zeta, Mario Kart 7, and ID Blasters and DZG Sticks here in the roster. Joining us here in Shurima will be the following roster. It's gonna be one moment here, spin it out for your boost. I actually just had it here. You think I would actually have it right up. Tonzo, another different Joker. Raging Alcoholic, aka Mid Diff, Rapid Fire, and Falls, and Zohair in the sub role here. Thoughts on this team coming in?
Yeah, DZG, another org that has that's Dread Zone, right? Dread Zone Gaming, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Opportunity. Tonzo, I'm really excited to see what you're gonna play. It's a very interesting topside build already here in Shurima. Would love to see what you're gonna be able to bring to the table. And because there's 4 teams that make the playoffs, I'm now curious to see, where does the schedule say line up, because you are going up against some of the reigning champions, right? Like, do you play them early in your split or do you play them late in your split, and how is that going to affect playoff chances? Do you come into that game 4-0 or do you start with that week 1? I don't know yet, but maybe that's something that could affect the way that the season plays out. Regardless, best of luck. Gonna be fun.
For sure here. 8 teams left. Gump Slayers, Celestial Aspire, and Dust Vault here in this pool. Give us a spin whenever you're ready, Mr. Benjamins. Gump Slayers is joining us here in the Void group. Let's add these guys right in here. There you go. Thank you. And this roster will be the following: Sovereign, Reborn Mountain, Age of Cage, Luger, and Excel here, joining Gump Slayers in Void. Any thoughts of this roster?
Honestly, I don't think I've casted any of you guys, so you guys are coming in with a blank slate. Not an impossible feat to beat, say Iceborne, Dorado Gaming, Travelers, and just gotta play well, and hopefully you guys are able to take the wins. Great icon though. I love the use of the little grubbins.
All right, 2 more teams left here. It's gonna be Celestial Aspire and Dust Vault. It's gonna round up here our Iona XL divisions. Celestial Aspire here will be joining us in the following roster. Visual at the moment. It's going to be the anticipation of me finding them in the sheet. Panzora,
Yep.
Panzora, Fence, Bretz, MK Fever, and Kavan Nami. Panzora, a name we actually haven't seen in a while here, joining us here in Iona. Moose, what are your thoughts on this team coming into AML?
Again, I think Void or Ionia is going to be a pretty unpredictable roster. At the start of the season, I think that there's a lot of opportunity for teams to go and place anywhere. So be on the lookout for opportunities to take upset wins and get your standings up for sure.
And final last team here is Dust Vault, and we're going to spin here just for the sake of spinning. It's going to be Shushi Cat, Taboo Zenith, Intruder, Hypnotic Viper, and Stale Bagel joining our final group here in Xtal. Any thoughts on this team coming here? I think it's a new team here at AML, if I'm correct here. Any thoughts on them coming into the scene?
I mean, if they're a new team, if the captains and the owners are in here, don't know what experience you guys have in playing these leagues, but if this is like a fairly new one, you should just take every opportunity to learn, watch replays if you can. Hopefully we get you in early on to get casted as well, and just have a good time. It's gonna be it's a great season, and AML is a great community as well, so excited to have you.
Awesome. Now we're going to be in Pool 4 here, our second biggest group of 8 teams. It's a lot of teams here in Group 4. We're going to see ID Eclipse, Nova Gaming Alpha, Contingent Esports, Con, Definite Archer, Lit, Huskies, Northeastern Club. A lot of grumbled up teams here. And honestly, between Pool 4 and Pool 3, there's a lot of grumbling of the teams here. The LPs were really, really close. It was really, you know, a clear top half in terms of LP, and a clear middle, and then the bottom, of course. But we're going to get...
I am shocked to see Con Esports down at the low end of the roster. Absolutely shocked.
Yeah, I think they were right in the edge of Pool 3 and Pool 4 for LP-wise. But they effectively are kind of in that Pool 4 seed here. And, you know, what that kind of means is you have a team in which people expect to be a lot better. When you only use LP to rank the teams, you sometimes have situations where a team like Con, which, I mean, I've personally watched themselves, was surprised when I saw a ranking as well, basically enter into Pool 4 here. Very scary fought here, and there is a chance it can end there at Group of Death. Let's go Shurima. So, Mr. Benjamins, give it a spin and see if the script makers have added the Pool of Death.
Ooh, not yet.
Contingent Esports here will be joining us, and their roster will be following here. Let me first get that roster up, and then I get out of the sheet here. Mr. Contingent Esports, where are you? There you are. Jack Cannons, Dekaros, Proto Senpai, Hakma, and Rem are joining us. Players I'm personally not familiar with here. Moose, what are your faults here? Any faults in this Contingent Esports team if you recognize any of these names?
Same thing. I mean, the only thing that I recognize is the name. You know, they're a team that, or they're an org that has, I believe that they've done NACL as well. I could be.
Yeah,
I think they've done NACL. So having that experience and having the organization behind you is going to be something that you should be able to rely on. And don't get discouraged that you are in the team with the returning champions. Any game is possible to win. It's a new season, so don't let that get to you.
Gotcha. Mr. Benjamins, give us that 5th spin here for Void. Oh, come on, Mr. Benjamins, really? Huskies, Green, Fire, Reborn here, joining us in Void. This is a roster, I think a relatively new roster as well here in AML. Martial Arts Y, which I'm very familiar with. MTU Poro, Big Daddy Bard, Oscar Wilde, and Dr. Cannon coming in here to AML, joining the Void group. Moose, any thoughts on this team as we get started?
If I don't see Bard in the mid lane and Cannon as support, I'm going to be very unhappy. You can't be. I'm titillated by the prospect of a mid lane Bard. So very excited to potentially see that happen. Void group. Oh boy. Great logo as well. A new team, the same things that I've been talking about with the other new teams as well. Take this opportunity and hopefully you guys have a great time here, because it's an amazing experience.
I'm going to Iona here. Give it a spin here, Benjamins, and let's see what we got going. This Eclipse roster here coming in to Ionia, kind of following of Big Chillers, Master Akuma, Indigo, and Celestia Aspire here. Let me give you the actual team here in one exact moment here. Eddie Boy, Pride, Eisenhower, Bubster, and Miles joining in here. Welcome to Ionia. Any thoughts on the team moves before we get started here?
No. Welcome to Ionia. Welcome to the league. And happy to have you.
Yeah, I mean, I know some of these players myself. You know, basically here, going on here, I mean, obviously Bubster, a player I've seen before, you know, making that jump here in AML. I don't think he played last play as well. At the same time here, Eddie Boy, boyfriend, I believe, the former Nameless support here, if I recall correctly. So there's an experienced roster I've seen in kind of the Diamond Elo setting.
Cool. Yeah.
So, you know, coming in the Masters here, should be interesting what ID Clips does here. Moving on to Ionia. Next, draw, please. Whenever I get, where the hell is my thing? There it is.
Oh, Con Esports.
We do avoid the death group scenario, which would have been honestly pretty hysterical to watch, but also pretty unfortunate for teams that have been here. If we're going to join and said, the last group here of Sad Boys, Arctic Force Harris, Elysian Esports, and Does Vault here. So, I don't think there's any introduction to this team here. Rizzy, Asbar, Neversaw, Vertalisi, Muzi, Plunge Ever Sub-Zero, Mituizi, Gnomes, Revenant, Jim Cantor. A lot of well-known names here. Great team here. You know, take it away here, Moose. Con Esports joining the fray.
Oh, this might be a death group. This might be a death group here. If Arctic Force's performance matches the tier 1 status that they had, with you know, Zeha performing as well as they have in the last couple of AML seasons, and the Sad Boys coming into this along with could be a death group. Could be, oh boy, shenanigans afoot.
And there's 4 teams that get out of playoffs, remember? Technically speaking, any of these teams are, quote-unquote, not expected to make it. Now, obviously, I think if any of the Pool 5, guess what, these are Pool 4 seeds, excuse me. Pool 4 seeds, or the bottom seeds, better way to put it, are going to upset. It's obviously Con is probably the one team that people have chalked into, like, the default upsetter. But, you know, anything's possible. We'll see here. 4 teams remaining. Notice here, Gaming Alpha, if I'm correct. Definite Archer, Lit Esports, famous Lit Esports, and Northeastern Club, if I'm correct here. Northeastern Club Esports, come and join us here. A collegiate team here. Not Minder Roderick, Idris, Bonk Ripper, Tank, and Kolfi coming in here. Not much known from my opinion here, Moose. Any thoughts from you as they enter into Shurima?
Oh, well, I mean, if they're a collegiate team, awesome. Love to see it. Big supporter of collegiate esports in general. I'm turning 30 next week, so
oh my god, happy birthday.
I can't believe it. When I was in college, when I was in high school, I would have loved the opportunity to be in have scholarships, have an esports roster, have an esports team. Instead, I was one of the people helping organize the first esports group at UNLV, the Las Vegas University that I was at. And so, you know, I'm really happy to see you guys here. I'm really happy to see that esports is continuing to be respected and sought after in colleges and universities around this country. So I'm rooting for you guys to do well, and I'm really excited to see you guys cast on stage, play on stage, so I can cast you guys.
Awesome. Yeah, better say myself here. Thank you, Moose. Here, we got 3 teams left. Devin and Aver, Noversphere, and of course, Dead Body to Lit Esports. Mr. President, Lit Esports has finally been drawn. Dead Body in the group of Void. Now this is one of our rosters of all time here. And by running roster, I mean as literally we got this roster 30 minutes ago. IQ Island, King Clifford, Hakuri, Dead Body, and Living Phoenix. Oh Lord, Mr. President, you are back. And here comes into Void. Now, I don't know if it's going to look good for you, to be honest, in terms of playoffs, but in terms of entertainment value, it's looking good for all of us. Any thoughts on this Lit Esports team, Mr. Moose?
Not dead botting. He's amazing. he's great. I'm not going to make fun or read dead botting because, you know, life and previous leagues already have. I hope that Lit Esports, or I hope that they take it. I hope that they are first in this division. I really do.
Just to be clear, the official Aegis stance is we do not hope that esports is first in this division. Moving forward to the last 2 groups here of Noversphere Gaming Alpha and Definite Not Aether. What is the draw here? It looks to be Definite Not Aether of a lineup of Arm of a Reaper, Mork, Fun Size, Not in My House, and Beg for Mercy. A couple subs as well as like Bucky's, Drew, Knees Keys, MKS, and Baka. Believe it's a new team here in Aegis, unless I am going crazy, which is possible. Moose, any recollection of his team at all in Aegis?
Again, you know, not aware of. I don't even think I'm familiar with the org, if it is an org. So, excited to see what they, can bring to the table. I've been talking about the unpredictability of Void or of Ionia all draw show. So anything can happen.
Last team here. It's the formality. Not really much to say here. It's going to be Novasphere Gaming Alpha here. And while we get that draw here, I'll get the roster going whenever I can begin reading. And that roster is going to be Paladin, Butter Chicken, Ignacio, Please Don't Banner It, and Vector Force joining the last group here. Any thoughts on this team here, Mr. Moose?
Novasphere has been around as well, I believe.
Yes.
So yeah, again, good to have orgs coming through. Hopefully I didn't deter you from me saying that could be potentially a death group. Anything is possible. I should rephrase saying that all teams, regardless of how they appear on paper, regardless of their LP standing, regardless of whatever it may be, every team of the league comes in 0-0. And previous performance does not matter. If you won last season and you go 0-7, you're not making playoffs this season. You did not perform well. So come in with the mindset, play to win. Don't play trying not to lose. Always come in to play to win. Take those risks, take those chances, because you never know what might happen.
That is true. Our last pool here, the bottom teams, there's a very clear LP gap in terms of teams here. Rifters, Michigan's JV team, Horizon Gaming Rats, and the buy team. And as I told everyone here for the buy team, we're gonna assume they are a last pool team. And the reason for that, is because if for whatever reason we can't get the replacement in time, we think it's a lot more fair to give everyone in the group basically a quote-unquote free win, as opposed to basically make one group artificially lower. We could have treated buy as a average pool team here and potentially made the group lower, but instead buy is being treated as a non-existent team because we got the information last night that the team withdrew. We'll let you guys know if that changes. Buffer into Benjamins here. Rifters, Michigan's JV team, and Horizon Gaming Rats. Take it away. We will be joined by, I believe, the Rifters. Welcome to Shurima, the Rifters, a team of Unlimited Ninja, Resonum, Cosmic Crabs, Nutty One, and Roundix joining us here in the group. Rounding up the Shurima division here, Mr. Moose. I'll give you actually your general thoughts, not just on Rifters, but on the actual group itself. What are your thoughts on Shurima? It's Dorado Gaming Zeta, it's Mario Cut 7, Dide Blasters, maybe some name change there, DGG Sticks, Contingent Esports Blue, Northeastern Club Esports, and Rifters.
You got a returning champion. You've got the, I think, on paper premier Dorado team. You've got Dreadzone Gaming, who had a semifinals appearance and winner of 23. Contingent Esports, who are a well-known org. You've got a collegiate team. You have it all. You have once again an organization, or you have once again the returning champion or a returning champion player in Kinkoni, in Shurima. It's their home. I don't know why they always get picked into Shurima.
It's because we rigged the draw. That's why.
I see. I would say that it is a tall order, but not impossible to make top 4 if you are a lower tier team. But just keep in mind the quality of players that you see in the top side of Shurima are returning champions. They are players that know what they're doing. So every game that you go into, make sure that you are doing 100% your best to win. When you are preparing for games, look back on your rosters, look at the stats, look at the, I don't know if they're still called Dewan stats, but look at the stats of the players and be as prepared as possible to come into every game to give yourself the best chance of winning, because like Flay was saying, there are no qualifiers. It is only if you are a top 4 team that you make the playoffs. So make the playoffs, show us that you mean business, and have fun with it, because this is, I think, one of the divisions that is going to be the most challenging, but could also have the biggest upsets if players are able to take those wins. So best of luck to all the teams there in Shurima.
Thank you, Moose here. We're in the void here. 3 more teams left. Give me your best shot here, Benjamins. What are you got cooking here in the script? Oh my goodness, Team Buy joining us here. to be clear, there's no actual team buy here. It's literally just a buy. The buy team will be joining Void. So really, the group's already been decided here in the fact that it's the 6 teams up there. It's going to be Dorado, Travelers, Iceborne Black, Gump Slayers, Huskies Green, and Lit Esports. Mr. Moose, your thoughts on the Void roster?
Well, Dead Botting's chances of getting into the playoffs have now been significantly increased.
Told you we were in the draw.
Little bit of like, there's a lot of unknown, right? Like I don't think we knew anybody on the Travelers roster. Iceborne Black has always been sort of, I don't want to say black sheep, but definitely a underdog team in the AML. Grubmasters, relatively unknown. So anything can happen, I think, in this one. And because, at least on my end, there's just so little information on the players, I couldn't even tell you who would be first place in this league, in this division. So definitely a playoff spot available since there's only 6 teams. You have the best chance out of any team to make it into the playoffs, and then from there go in for that playoff run. So let's see it happen.
Yeah, to kind of answer your question in chat here, in terms of what is going on in the buy team, we assume worst case scenario here. I think it's the best case. So what we do is basically we're treating a buy as the pull 5 seed. It's worst case scenario. If we can't confirm, a team or two would kind of replace that spot. We basically just give everyone the team a free win. In theory, that would be like the pull 5 seed here. And then we'll kind of confirm that. So that's kind of the issue here. If a team fills in, we'll make sure it's not like a stacked roster. We're not going to allow like what would be a pull 1 seed into that group. That would be not fair. Generally speaking, we're going to look for like, average to below average team to fill that spot, at best. If it can't get filled, then basically everyone gets a free win. That's kind of our situation for it. 2 more teams left, 2 more actual teams. Ionia is going to be filled with your Michigan JV or the Horizon Gaming Rats. And well, we have our answer here. Michigan's JV team, another collegiate team, joins us here in the situation here. And it gets to be Yopper, Jackie Chan, Dippolar, PoX Pro, and Feng Hu here coming in. I'm not familiar with the JV team from Michigan. Any thoughts on this group, though, Mr. Moose?
So if I'm reading the name correctly, Michigan Junior Varsity 2. So not the varsity team, but the G League team for the basketball players. All that fun stuff. If this is your opportunity to gain experience to then perform better in a collegiate tournament, you have been put into probably the best division to gain that experience, because a lot of the teams and a lot of the players in this roster, I think, are very hungry to get wins and to make things happen. And the unpredictability that I predict is going to happen in Ionia could be extremely beneficial for your long-term growth as players. So Ionia is going to be fun in that regard, to where, let's see, it might be the JV is a different organization, it might be a different thing, but if it's junior varsity experience, maybe then be on the varsity team later. And if this gives you the experience and the knowledge to be able to make that happen, then I'm glad that we've been able to give you guys that opportunity to be able to learn and grow.
100% here. Thank you, Moose. The final team in draw here, Horizon Gaming Rats. I'll list out the roster as draw happens here. And that is going to be the following: Puffzone, Sultan, Philly B, Overic, and Zanzergreg joining here. And team that I am personally familiar with, a team that joins Ionia. Ionia here. Xtel, apologies. Xtel here, final group here. Rounding up Sad Boys, Arctic Force Hares, Elysian Esports, Disvolt, Cat Esports, Novosphere Gaming Alpha, and Horizon Gaming Rats here. The final group. Moose, last word here. Take it away. What are your thoughts here on the final group?
I am familiar with at least Ulrich and Xanazurge. I've casted their games before. Was it AML? Are they returning AML players?
Returning CCS players. I'm familiar with
returning CCS players. Okay, cool. So keeping the CCS dream alive, keeping the name and the legacy of CCS, because without them, I think Aegis still would be here, but the merge definitely has enhanced Aegis's ability to make things happen, and to do things well. But on the other side of that, veterans of the Masters level scene coming into a division of players that have proven themselves, but maybe not always have had the results that they wanted. You know, Conning Sports X wanted to win last split, but weren't able to do so. Sad Boys returning champions from 2 seasons ago. What's Zaya's team? I forget the name. Sorry.
TA was it TA Distortion last split? I guess Distortion Overdrive. Elation this split, yeah. Distortion Overdrive last split.
Elation Esports now. Like there are players in this league that are itching for a win. So I think my assertion is still correct that this is a bloodbath will ensue in Ixtal. And for the teams and players that are in Ixtal, I want to be entertained. I expect close games. I expect high value, high octane, very exciting games to be casted on stream, and for the results of games to be as exciting off stream. So gonna be a fun division, gonna be a fun split for sure. Like this is really just, I think we're starting to see a lot of players and a lot of teams develop their rosters and have returning players, which just makes the game so much more interesting. My only advice that I would give to returning veterans and returning players: don't get complacent, don't get stale, don't get rotten. Always look to elevate and adapt and evolve your play, because there will be somebody coming in behind you that will be willing and able to knock you off of your pedestal and knock you off of your position. So new players, this is a new chance for you guys to show us what you got. This is a new chance for you guys to shake up the game, shake up the meta, and give us an exciting season. While I have the captains here, while I have all that fun stuff, I'm going to be I'm going to be your play-by-play caster for this season. I've been doing casting for almost a decade now, and the AML has always been one of the most exciting, one of the most thrilling leagues that I have been able to cast for. We're going to be doing it again with Septi, Wookiee Monster, who is a phenomenal producer, is going to be running the helm behind the scenes. We've got some amazing streams coming up for you guys this split. If you guys are not able to play on a particular Tuesday and say, hey, our organization is streaming our games on a different day and you need a caster, please reach out to me. My door is open. I would be willing to come in, cast a game, cast a series to get myself more familiar with the teams. Best of luck to everybody, and I'm really, really excited to get started on Tuesday.
Thank you so much here, Moose, for that information. Thank you, everyone, for AML. In terms of the actual schedule, it will be out at the latest by Saturday. That's basically what will be out at the latest. I'm going to try to get it before that, though. So again, thank you so much here. I'll take a very quick 1 to 2 minute break here. We'll get started with the Aegis Defenders League. Don't go, everyone here. All the AML teams, thank you. I will ping you guys when schedule released again at the latest by Saturday. Thank you. Have a great day. And again, 1 minute intermission break until we start ADL. back to Aegis. We're now doing the Aegis Defenders League. Phenomenal, really. It's the fun's only get started here. This one's gonna be a lot more straightforward. It's 2 groups of 8, top 4 makes playoffs, 4 pools, 4 per league. Unlike AML, it's not just based on your solo queue ranking. We do have some more admin discretion in here. Slight admin discretion change. It's really, to give people an understanding of how we rank these teams. We try to be, as objective as possible. Try to use not our opinions here. And you have to win the games, which is all that matters. But, what we try to do here is use the LP as a baseline. And if we have experience, if let's say 2 teams are really, really close together, and we just know one team is better from what we've seen, we will slightly adjust it. But generally speaking, we try to avoid any major adjustments. We do believe the general principle is plus or 1 minus pools, which basically means, whatever your solo queue ranking gives you pool-wise, we're only going to move you 1 up or 1 down, never more than that, to kind of keep things as objective as possible. The Aegis Defenders League, very simple. 16 teams, 2 groups of 8, 4 pools here. Now let's get started, Benjamins here. It'll just be me alone here for Aegis Defenders League. We have some situation here with the other person coming in. It's perfectly okay here. So I will be running Aegis Defenders League here. In the first pool 1 seed, so I'll read these teams out. We have Rubber Ducky Gaming, A Forgotten Kingdom, Royal Esports here, and Khan Esports here as well here. The second Khan team, I think the second of 3 off the top of my head here, coming in here in the situation. Without further ado, feel free to spin whenever you are ready. Royal Esports is joining us here in the first group here. Welcome, Royal Esports. I'm going to raise the roster here for everyone here for Royal Esports here. It's going to be a roster of the following: Leon, Peter Griffer, ROLL, Walt, and Skylar. Coming in his team here, I'm very familiar with Walt's game here in Cosmic. Walt here has been someone who I've seen, in the past play in both CCS and Aegis. Do really well here. One of the probably the strongest AD carries in the Platinum Diamond scene. Moving to jump up, if Defender's not being a figure, I'm not surprised someone of Walt's abilities moving up here. He's joined by a roster here. Familiar with Peter Griffer. In terms of RL, Chaos, and Leon, coming up here. This roster, generally speaking, you'd even argue could maybe contend an old AML. So you're seeing him Defenders, not a surprise here. Is one of the top teams here in the Cosmic group. And moving forward here, before we get to the second spin, be aware we only have 1 situation of team discretion here. Those are the 2 JV teams of DePaul, and now both are bows later on in the draw. Let's do the second draw here to figure out who Dark Star will be in our group. Speaking of Khan Esports, we actually just talked about it last time. In this case, Khan Esports yet again, Sir Raven, Senior Paco Vataco, LL Cool Jace, Jed, Gnomes. And yet again, Khan Esports is an organization that, generally speaking, regardless of who the players are, I'm confident provides a strong team into the scene here. Not surprising here, coming with a lot of experience, a strong diamond roster. Another roster, I think, again, could be the old AML if it existed, coming into Dark Star here. 2 more teams to go here in pool 1 here, Benjamins, whenever you are ready. So the last team here for Cosmic is going to be a Forgotten Kingdom. AFK. That's nice. Silly, Bojoy, Source Walker, Kusha Text, TTV Scrims, Snapsky coming in here. A Forgotten Kingdom here. A name we've seen in AML and AD on the past. Welcome back to Aegis Defenders League here. And get a very strong team here coming into Aegis, which leads our final draw here for Dark Star. Rubber Ducky Gaming, a team synonymous of Mr. Drake himself, coming into Aegis, the owner, Rubber Ducky Gaming, a roster of Flame, Mushroom, Knight, Riven, and Ghost of Den are influence of FC Drake here as both their main team owner, and I also assume some port captain here. Drake teams, strong. Usually teams you see kind of tight in the esports scene here. Coming in Aegis with a very strong roster. I believe, actually, off the top of my head here, the only Master Peaker roster available here in 2023, if I recall correctly. The only roster had every single player peak Masters in 2023, albeit below the 100 LP cap. This is, again, another team. Of all 4 of these teams, we're all AML teams here. So Drake sends in really the best of the best here to try to win Aegis and Rubber Ducky Gaming here into Dark Star. Pool 2. Let's see what we got cooking here, Mr. Benjamins. Mint Gaming, or MYNT Gaming, Novasphere Gaming Myth, Big Chillers Diamond, Fugitives here. Some well-known names, some new names here. Let's give us a spin, see what's going on. Now, this is a team synonymous with losing in the final. Synonymous with losing, almost winning is the best way to put this team. Bing, Chillers, Diamond here. Familiar names: Basting, Cade, Valder, Solbert, till it's over. Subs of Sauter and Demo. I mean, I'm going to be honest here. Basting, Cade, Solbert. I mean, these are staple Diamond players, especially Solbert. Probably the face when I think of a Diamond League of Legends player here. Big Chillers going for old reliable. You know, this is a roster that I'm fully confident will make a deep playoff run here. In terms of winning, well, we'll see. But in terms of actually making a deep run, pretty confident that is a roster that was needed as soon as possible. Moving on here to Darkstar. Give us a good sit here, Benjamins. Maybe Fugitives. Novosphere Gaming Myth. A couple interesting players here. Fugitives. The script leaking live. Fugitives here. Get out of my vein. Tempo Flash. AC Oreo. Justice and Lightning Arrow coming into here. Player, I'm going to be honest, everyone, not super familiar with some of these players here. Or not all of them, I would say here. But Fugitives are coming in as a Pool 2 team. Solid Pool 2 team here. I think ADL, as all the other leagues here, were one of the leagues with the most defined tiers. Is a very clear, at least LP-wise, as well as team-wise, 1, 2, 3, 4. So really, all of these top-end teams are kind of expected to make playoffs here. Again, we will see, though. 2 more teams here. Mid Gaming, Novosphere Gaming, Myth, broadening out the rest of the situation. Mint Gaming? Wait. Mint Gaming. Yes, or MYNT Gaming, I guess, technically, being precise. Rounds up Cosmic here. We're going to have Indigo Monkey, Luckified, Anthony, F.I. Myers, and Buzz Mavin. I believe this is a team that has its identity from Groupie Grumps, if I recall correctly here, with Luckified here, the captain / jungle, coming in this mid-gaming team. You know, a roster I think, you know, has a lot of potential. You know, I've seen this Grumpy Games teams playing other ELOs before here. They're going to come in here, you know, as a team that's kind of favored to make it out of Cosmic here. Generally, though, I would say currently, where I've seen I have a Cosmic group. It does look a little stronger here. All teams presented, or not stronger, more favorable for Mint, you know, avoiding powerhouses like Khan and Rubber Ducky. This also means, by definition, Novosphere Gaming Myth must be drawn in the group known as Darkstar here. And Novosphere Gaming, a roster of Thailander, Ponyboy, Neof, or KLO, Smurf, interesting name, V-Surge, and Anthem Park coming in here, rounding out the Darkstar. You know, this is kind of what we have for Aegis Defenders. You know, really looking at the roster at the moment. You know, I mean, we have Rubber Ducky and Khan coming in here in Defenders. A very strong kind of 1-2 here. But generally speaking, I have to say, Fugitives and Novosphere Gaming Myth. I'm not super familiar with Novosphere Gaming Myth and Fugitives as an Aegis experience is it's probably a good sign for these pool free teams coming up here. Once Benjamin can put up whenever he's ready. A couple more household names here, kind of in pool free here. With ID, Mystic Cats, a BOL favorite, Optimal Esports Midnight, Odin's Eye Gaming. You know, these are teams that are kind of well more known, especially in the Plat Diamond scene here. And, you know, I think any of them are trying to gun for a Darkstar group here, maybe sneak in the playoffs. Again, 4 out of 8 Benjamins, whenever you are ready. And what are we going to see here? Optimal Esports Midnight. My goodness here. Joining the Kazi, excuse me, I apologize here. This is a roster. Consists of some familiar names. And the following is on the roster. Night Ravens, Fatten, Ratchet, Vernet, and Mitski. Ratchet, a very strong mid laner here. Really really the quintessential, I would say, Diamond mid laner when I think about it. He's coming in here with Optimal Esports Midnight, a very strong organization, especially in the Plat Diamond scene here. You know, not super familiar here with the bot side, but don't really need to be a no Optimal Esports. Kind of has what it takes here from other performances in different leagues. One more spin here whenever you're ready here to Darkstar. Interesting to Mystic Cats, you know, generally a pretty strong BOL Plat team. You coming in Defenders here. I think they kind of ranked out here. How will they do here? Before we get to them, oh boy, Hydra, excuse me, coming in here. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. A roster, familiar faces. P. Diddy, Sutek, Shibboleth, Epic, Peptech, and 5 subs here. So very interesting. You know, Volter, Hunter Wolf Heel, Highway, Rudy, Mystic. A team that could potentially change here. But I mean, Sutek, very, very well known to me. Sutek coming in here, ID, kind of trying to get the team together. A captain, actually, you know, team around there. We see how his ID team does. And I think, generally speaking, a pretty favorable draw for ID to make playoffs here. You know, they have potential. We've seen, you know, Sutek and Peptech teams before do pretty well. And what do we see here is a potential for a group in Darkstar that can maybe sneak up here, you know, besides obviously the top 2 teams. With 2 teams left, Mystic and ID Hundra. Very interesting to see whoever's BOL team goes in, as well as the Odin's I team. Odin's I Gaming coming in here to Cosmic, rounding up that group here from Pool 3, of course. With a roster of the following. We are looking at Slut Maze, Naga's Voice, Darkstride, Guyo, Westfield. They're coming in here in Cosmic group here. Generally kind of running up this group. And, I know obviously Big Chillers and Mint kind of more acclaim as a representative of AFK. Teams are more well known, especially Optimal here. Not much can be said about this Odin's I Gaming team. However, generally speaking here, you kind of expect these mid-table teams, while they're stronger, while they have experience, does not necessarily mean that they are better. So we will see how they do in the actual draw, which means, by definition, Mystic Cats has to join Darkstar Gaming here. Mystic Cats here joined by the team of Hentai Police, Skiz, Huku's Poison, Korn, and Josh Box. A very well-known BOL plat team, one I've seen multiple times here. Coming in here into Aegis, I believe their first entry, please correct me if I'm wrong here, into Aegis, into Defenders League here. And you would have a strong BOL plat team here. Generally speaking, these stronger plat teams historically can do better in these higher up elos. While Mystic Cats is the Pool 3 team, we should not be underestimated. Again, Mystic Cats here, very well-known BOL team, a team that I've monitored from the side here when I've kind of followed BOL. Generally a team that does pretty well here. I kind of expect them to maybe, in the performance of Darkstar here, potentially make it out of groups. Now, to be clear, we're going into Pool 4 here. I'll describe the situation of DePaul. But, this Darkstar group, with ID and Mystic, the 2 teams in there, you could potentially see an upset from the Pool 2 seeds not being able to make playoffs. Mr. Benjamins, the last 4 teams. And before we start here, DePaul has 2 teams, both in the bottom. Unfortunately, also of Northeastern, actually all of the collegiate teams except for Oversoul are in the bottom here. So if DePaul is in one group, obviously everyone has to be in the other group. Just be worried about. Mr. Benjamin, spin whenever you're ready. Northeastern Club Esports 2. Yes, 2. Not 1, not 3, but 2. Collegiate team, not super familiar with them. We're going to have Bokto Uchi, Unuzi, IG Ying, WKG Dark, and She Belong here. Coming in Northeastern Club Esports 2 here. That's going to round up kind of that end here for Northeastern here. And almost round up the rest of Cosmic here. We'll give you an analysis of the general group here. Northeastern was already seen in last in AML as well with their Masters team here. Mr. Benjamins, give us a spin here, which kind of will determine, where the DePaul groups are going, unless it's overall. I guess Oversoul will determine it as well, but we'll see. It's going to be DePaul University. Wait for it. DePaul University JV Blue will be the team joining Darkstar here. Again, another collegiate team here. This one, joined by the following teams. It's going to be Risen Pressure, Raph, Coco, Shocky Walkie, and Pudgy Dodge 2 here joining. That means their sister team has to be in Cosmic. We'll see if their will cooperates or if we have to technically spin it twice. The wheel does not cooperate there. Feel free to move Oversoul Esports Incarcerate to Darkstar here, which kind of rounds up that group there. That would basically mean the following situation. We're going to have Oversoul Esports, move up a group because you can't have the same organ in the same group. And that Oversoul team is the following. Balimster, Swifty, Free and Potatoes, Matatas, and Sharkaloy here joining us Darkstar, which means JV Red, we're rounding up Cosmic here, and rounding up ADL, Lannis, Longhart, Pop 2K, Limester, and Yoxo. So, yeah, summary of ADL, the groups, the expectations, and as well as the playoffs. Cosmic, Royal Esports, Forgotten Kingdom, Big Killers Diamond, Mint Gaming, Optimal Esports, Odin's Eye, Northeastern Club, and DePaul University JV. Kind of looking at these teams here, generally speaking, in the amateur scene, the collegiate teams tend to, I would say, not be up to level of the amateur organizations. Different kind of level play, collegiate, different expectations. So I think, for Cosmic Group here, very good sign for Pool 3 teams here. Kind of seeing those collegiate teams down the bottom. That should be wins they could be able to get here. And, Big Killers Diamond's a team that I expect to stay up here. Same with Forgotten Kingdom and Royal Esports. So really look for Optimal or Odin's to potentially make a move on Mint Gaming here. Especially Optimal Esports, a team that has that experience there. Kind of led here by Ratchet in the mid lane. Could potentially make a move here in the top 4. For Darkstar, I think probably the group with more question marks here. Con and Rubber Ducker Gaming, I have no question marks here, are probably the favorites to win the group. But to make playoffs, Fugitives, Novasphere, ID, Mystic. These are teams I could really see anything happen. Oversoul, generally speaking, better than the collegiate teams here. So the fact that one of the collegiate teams or two of the collegiate teams are in Cosmic, one is in Darkstar, doesn't mean you play an actual amateur org here, which doesn't help. And Mystic, while they're a pool freeze team, same with ID. That's an organization I see consistently make playoffs in most groups they actually play in. So for Fugitives, Novasphere, I'd say probably got the tougher pool 3 seeds, and most importantly, probably tougher pool 4 seeds. So coming into the ADL here, Darkstar's probably the group I'm more curious to see about playoffs. With Con Esports and Rubber Ducker Game being a potentially early finals matchup. In terms of the playoffs themselves, before we get into AEL, we have a short break. Very simple. Top 4 makes playoffs. 8 teams, quarters, semis, finals. Very straightforward situation here, basically. Generally speaking, we kind of, generally speaking here, because of the fact that it's a 16-team group, the unique thing is that the first seed does pick their opponent. That's something I think that the other playoff seeds do not have due to the fact that they're 16-team playoff seeds here, because ADL is 16 teams. Winning that group does give you a bit of an advantage here, because the first seed from the group will pick between the third and fourth seeds from the opposite group. So finishing second just shelters you from playing first until semis, while third and fourth, are kind of at the mercy of the other team. So for Con and Rubber Ducky Esports, or Con and Rubber Ducky Gaming, excuse me, whoever wins that group, and I do think those are arguably the two strongest teams in ADL period, whoever wins that group will not only shield themselves from playing one or two on the other side, or playing one on the other side here, of course, they'll also be able to pick between the two teams of 3 and 4 in Cosmic, and kind of set the bracket the way they want to see it coming into the group. Besides that, thank you everyone for ADL joining the team here. I'm going to take a short 2 to 3 minute break again here. We're going to be joined here with a guest in terms of AEL, the Executioners League. I guess a new named league in Aegis, but really just a plat league from last play here. And the 20 teams in that league will be joining us. Don't go away. We'll be back in a 2 to 3 minute break. Format. That's a nice way to put it here. No qualifiers again. But the unique situation here is the fact that, technically speaking, 4 out of 5 teams make playoffs. You really got to stink it up here not to make playoffs. It's a very short regular season to actually the same length playoff season. So this is really a tournament about performing when it matters most, because regular season, it's always about seeding, which does matter for sure. But it's really more or less actually getting into the playoffs and performing well. And most importantly, making use of the round of 16 format, which has 2 random draws, one in the round of 16 here, and then one in the quarterfinals. So it's a double random draw in the playoffs, which we'll describe closer as we get in the playoffs here. We have Shadow Isles, we got Freyord, we have Bilgewater, we got Targon. All the wonderful fake League of Legends names are in the groups here. And at a moment's notice, we here at Aegis will start our final draw into the tournament. Mr. Eck, how are you feeling today?
I am doing just great, knowing we get to look down the Aegis Emerald competition right here.
Oh God, it is time to waffle, Mr. Eck. It is time, Mr. Eck. It is time to waffle. We're moving forward here. Mr. Benjamins, take us away to Pool 1 teams. Some pretty well-known teams here, I have to say myself. ID Blastcone, Dorado Gaming Mew, Inna Arcane, and ID Supernova. And to be clear, there are 4 pools: Pool 1, Pool 2, Pool 3, Pool 4. In terms of the pools, obviously you guys already know ID teams cannot be in the same pool. They literally can't be in the same pool because they're all going to be pulled in one group anyways. It doesn't even matter. Just letting you know. But the Dorado one, that will matter in the future. But again, Pool 1, Pool 2, Pool 3, with the biggest pool being Pool 4 at 8. There are some at 4 each. Mr. Benjamin, take us away here. The first team to be drawn. And the first team to be drawn here is Inna Arcane here in Shadow Isles here. The roster, for people who don't know, is the following: Terps, Beanie, Bongo, ZDB, and Kane. You know, I'm kind of aware of Beanie. I've seen Beanie perform from the Victorious League here. Besides that, any thoughts on this Eni team coming in?
I'm kind of the same wavelength as you. This is probably the Pool 1 team I know the least about. Beanie is a recognizable name from my end, but them being Pool 1 overall, well, as long as they don't go 5th, they're making playoffs, and then playoffs, anything can happen.
And then Shadow Gecko, to answer your question, unlike AML, it's not just peak rank, it's a combination of peaks and general performance over splits here. As stated before in ADL, will confirm, we always rank teams by kind of like their kind of formula we have here based on their peak ranks. And then what we do is we move 1 plus or minus 1 at most for a couple teams here if we really feel strongly that a team is, you know, below or above they should be. Never more than 1 tier. So if you're let's say LP rankings put you in 1st place, you're at lowest going to be placed in second pool. And speaking of Inna Arcane here, I guess a very quick example, they are the highest ranked team here in Aegis, based on the information we have here. So technically on solo queue, they are the favorites, even though they're maybe a less known team. Next team here in Freyord, whenever you are ready. And do I apologize for these pronunciations? As you can see, for this entire stream, if you've been here, I can barely speak at times. It's a positive, I swear. ID Blastcone. That is Blastcone here in Freyord. Coming in here whenever I can copy and paste this. Oh my lord. In this roster, oh boy, what a roster. Yeetloaf, ZalPP, Nuffies, All Gucci, QER. I don't know if he happens to league was. I got questions to accepted. And Mr. Eck, thoughts on the Freyord team in here?
I definitely think this is a very strong roster coming in. Definitely a title contender off the start. I'm quite familiar with their top jungle mid. Bot lane I'm not too sure about, but Nuffies usually finds ways to make teams get carried to finals in. So I wouldn't be like, I'm expecting a finals from this team again.
100%. I mean, the biggest thing that will kind of maybe hurt them is just randomness. You know, this is a team you expect to do really well. And maybe in the old format, they just automatically click into playoffs, not being qualifiers. In this format, I mean, you'd be shocked if they don't, you know, finish top 2 or at least 1st, to be honest. But realistically, it's a playoff run, right? You know, the best of 5s, which we'll see. But there's a lot of experience. I mean, ZalPP, Nuffies, these are players that are very well known in the CLO. And I mean, the rest of the roster is Heatloaf, All Gucci, and QERW. So it's not really the what do you call it, slackers anyway. So I mean, this is a very experienced roster, and I feel like experience matters a lot in best of 5. So maybe the format change will actually help them. Targon, excuse me. Our next group here, Dorado or ID Supernova, who will beat the team in here. That's going to be Dorado Gaming Mew. Will be joining us here. Mew is a roster of 9Clane, Scrafty, OG Kush, Rivered, and Maverick Griffin. And I'm going to be very honest here before we get started with your Eck. any roster of Kush in the helm leading that team as a roster has to be feared. One of the smartest players in the game. And realistically speaking here, that's a roster that, again, like the ID Blastcone team, or Blastercone team, excuse me, is a team that I immediately think a finals contender. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Oh, I absolutely agree. They got the President there in the mid lane. They have Klein as well. That's a heavy hitter. Definitely from some of the older days of Amateur. Like, that's a name that's been around a while.
And I think what's really important here, as we get into Bilgewater, and you can spin here, Benjamins, we'll talk about ID Supernova in a bit here, is that what's really important as to this format is that you kind of want to win your group, less so because, you know, it kind of like matters per se first round, but mainly because if you get first place here, you can kind of avoid the other first place teams until basically semifinals at the latest, really. And that's kind of a real important thing. Is an ID Supernova here, a team of Andy Chef, Shady Gecko, BKB, Mystic, and Spartanids. I mean, Shady Gecko, BKB, what do we have to say here? Solid platinum premier players, like I should say, executioner premier
They
players.
have that championship DNA. They know how to win games.
They do. Have a monkey finally taken off from Mr. Gecko's back here. BKP also a very strong player here. I mean, really all of these teams, you know, Eden obviously has the strongest solo queue record, but when the two ID teams in Dorado, I mean, they're just very experienced plot players. Players you could obviously argue are maybe even in the ADL level in terms of their own personal performance here. And again, for all these teams here, as you're approaching the second pool here, well, if the second pool teams here, the most important thing is going to be winning that group so you can help yourself kind of avoid the other teams. You really want to be facing these teams in semifinals, not in the quarters or round of 16. Moving on here to the pool 2 teams. Again, 4 of them. PF Changs, XG Flying, Sunrush, and Dorado Gaming Epsilon. The only issue we have, of course, is Dorado Gaming Epsilon cannot be in the same group as Dorado Gaming Mew, so be aware about Targon. Should be an issue though. Let us spin for Shadow Isles Gaming. For Shadow Isles Group, excuse me. Sunrush. Now, I mean, this is probably the most classic of classic amateur teams, or most kind of yellow amateur teams. I mean, let's read the roster here. Rutledge back in the top lane. Peyton and apologies about that. My microphone proceeded to disappear. Zooey in the mid lane, Civil in the AD carry hero, and Naor in the support role here. I do apologize again. My microphone did disconnect for a second. It is back Novo, but yeah, I mean, these are Civil, Rutledge. I mean, when you think plot amateur, you literally do think Rutledge. One of the first things you think of. He's back here in the Rush name under Sun. That's CB because CB does not exist anymore. And of course, Civil, our diamond-free Smurf. After long discussions, through Ivar tiebreaker vote, got accepted into AEL. Is here to join us here. And I mean, it's a very strong group. And honestly, for Sunrush here, Mr. Eck, probably the best group that can be put on here to win their group and kind of avoid the 3 other top contenders. Don't you think?
I would agree. I'd have to see more from United Arcane to make a educated decision, and it could be hindsight. They could be crazy, but yeah, this Sunrush team is gonna go crazy. Feels weird not seeing Rutledge under the CB banner.
Yes.
But oh my god, Rutledge. They also have Zooey here in the mid lane. Civil and Bot with Nahor. I'm expecting this team to very good things to come from them.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, Rutledge has outlived CB, literally. And I mean, anytime you see a Rutledge team, I almost kind of pencil them in semifinals, because that's what the team kind of just does. And they're a pool 2, barely a pool 2. I think they were literally the 5th ranked team, I remember off the top of my head here. But they got a very favorable draw here, which is going to help them maybe win the group and avoid the top contenders until, well, semifinals again. 3 more teams here. PF Changs, XG Flying, Dorado Gaming Epsilon. Again, be aware Dorado Gaming Epsilon cannot be in the same group as Targon. Besides that here, let's get started. PF Changs, my goodness. And we're not talking about the restaurant here, boys. We got Forf Espada, Canuck Bots, Thunder McBuster, Nearvoy, and Zend. Kind of a mix of former AGL players who like peaked all the way to Diamond 4. Interesting how former AGL players peaked Diamond 4. Anyway, but they're in AEL now, and I mean, this is a team of a lot of experience. Not at this level, though. They're making the jump. Solo queues are high. Maybe questions that can play this level of competition, but not questions in terms of their competitive experience. What are your thoughts on this team coming into Friord?
Yeah, I don't know a whole bunch about the team. Like, Zen's a solid player. I've played from before, but the other 4, their names I've always seen around. Especially Thunder McBuster was like big in the AGL scene. But yeah, they're always names I've seen around. I don't know exactly how they'll play, but it's nice to see them, Thunder McBuster at least moving up. and let's see how they'll perform in a higher elo bracket.
Yeah. I mean, Thunder Buster, Canuck Boss, Forfeit. I mean, literally their entire top side here are just AGL players who've made the jump in, and I'm glad they made the jump. I'm really glad. I mean, I really think if you're a top performing player at a league for a couple seasons, make that jump and see how you do on paper. We got experience, we got elos, we got everything we need, but we have not seen him perform at this level. There's really a question of a team that, if you want to call them like a promotion team here, I guess we have Zend, of course, it's not really a promotion team, but we have a question of like a promotion team here who, what's the word for it? A promotion team here who knows how to play competitive, but not this level. I guess we'll see how much the jump really is between the skill lengths here, but they're going to join a pretty competitive group here with Nuffies out PP here.
Yeah, that'll be a tight battle for first place in the group.
100%. Again, a reminder, if we draw Dorado here, I can't rig it too hard. I have to put him in Bilgewater. Breaking news, we actually have a special guest here. Potentially coming. My lord. Is this real? If I can. Oh my goodness. Dorado Gaming has to be moved here to Bilgewater here. Dorado Gaming, welcome to Bilgewater here. We'll be joining ID Supernova into the group. Again, can't rig it too hard, unfortunately, but I missed their roster here. I mean, these are high quality players here in Dorado Gaming Epsilon. You have a Dorado Gaming team of Pasta, Hybrid Carry, or Dalton, excuse me, I don't call him Pasta. Dalton, Hybrid Carry, Steven, Spencer, Koyash. I mean, it's a really strong group here coming in Bilgewater. And what about we let our special guest Nuffies thoughts on Bilgewater as he's just arrived here into the AUL call. Welcome, Nuffies.
Hello, hello, hello.
Mr. Nuffies, what are your thoughts on the current group so far from what you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, this group 1 looking real Mickey Mouse.
Jesus Christ.
Group 2 looks top heavy. There's only one of them on there. And then, group 4 looking real spicy.
Nah, I mean, for sure. I mean, Dorado ID, it's going to be very... matchups kind of circle on the calendar here. And, Mr. Benjamin, you can spin the final group here as we get going. It's going to be XG Flying, of course, into Targon. And XG Flying, this is our roster of kind of the following players here. Tiggs, Worm Jones, Codus, my AGL GOAT, Mew, and Turstone here. Coming in here. And actually, I think of all the Pool 2 teams, maybe the ones with the biggest question marks here. Ek, what are your thoughts on this team joining Targon here with Dorado in the group?
They got Codus in the mid lane. That's the only name I'm familiar with on that roster. But I believe this team's going 5-0, 5-0 or 0-5. I don't know how much games they play. This team's sinking or swimming. No in between.
No, but I mean, this is Codus, the AGL MVP. Dominated AGL here. Coming into Targon, and his first challenge is going to be a Dorado team with Kush, kind of the OG plat mid laner here, one of the OG plat midlaners, I would say. So we're going to see how Codus responds here. As we get ready to pull free seeds team here, Mr. Meds to get those ready. It's going to be Con Esports Emerald, Bing Chillers Emerald, Elysium Super Hot, and Spider by Esports Tarantula. The last pull free teams, everyone else in the pull 4 situation here. Let's spin these teams and get this thing going. Who will be joining us in Shadow Isles here? I mean, it kind of looks like an open group here. Maybe a Con or Bing Chillers team can kind of... Oh, well, speaking of the devil. Bing Chillers Emerald has joined this group. It's very kind of a spicy group so far here. An unproven Arcane roster, a Sun roster with some kind of changes here, and then a Bing Chillers roster who arguably could have been a Pool 2 team themselves, joined by Super Chase, Technics, Dr. Phil and Chill, making his return back, Dibble, and Lights. Any thoughts from either of you two on the current Shadow Isle situation?
So far, actually, unironically, this is, like I said, I was saying Mickey Mouse, but honestly, this is very close, group 1. Overall, legitimately anyone could take it. It's also very interesting. Dibble has to play against Rutledge. That'll be a banger series.
That is interesting, actually. And I mean, we're basically getting we obviously have the biggest question marks of Egan Arcane of all Pool 1 seeds here. And you throw in arguably a Pool 1 seed in the rush, and the Big Chillers is consistently a playoff tier roster when they make. It is a very open group 1 here in Shadow Isles. Anything to add on to that?
Yeah, it's just their players, I don't know a whole bunch about, but their names I recognize for sure, and they're playing under Bing Chillers, so I expect them to be solid at the least. Make the groups more competitive.
100% here. Mr. Benjamins, give us a spin. Con, Elysium, and Spider Bite. So we got going.
It's Rig, right? I'm gonna get Spider Bite, or what?
Oh no, you're getting Khan. We have to make it at least somewhat competitive.
The 9-man Khan roster.
The 9. That's the beauty of Khan. They're abusing the fact that reserves don't exist anymore. We're gonna swap their rosters every game. Khan Esports with the following roster here. If I could read, that'd be phenomenal. Mouse in a Hole, Kirev, Unknown Lag, Zokiv, and Proton Plat player. Not super familiar with a lot of these players here. I don't know about you guys here, but Khan generally fields pretty strong rosters in most sports, most elos. This Freud group, again, looks like it's ID favored. Both PF Chang is potentially a group here. Any thoughts on this team at the moment?
We're getting to the point in the draw where I'm just waffling about Lee's teams.
That's good. So honestly, completely fair. When we get to the final pool, it's a lot of new faces. Emphasize new faces.
I have a question though about this Khan
Sure.
team. It's like, is
Sure.
this like like these players are just unheard of? Are they like gold representatives? Like, do they like promote pretty high up?
Ooh, that's actually a good question here. They are Emerald, mid-Emerald, to high Emerald players. It could be gold representative. I actually don't know off the top of my head, to be completely honest with you. I don't think Khan actually fielded a team in AGL last split. Could be wrong. But Bully, you don't have a team. But generally we will kind of see here. Mr. Benjamin's spin for Targon. I'm curious where this Elysium team ends up here. Elysium, a quintessential first round exits here. We'll kind of see where exactly they end up in the group. And it's going to be Spider by Esports Tarantula, which kind of rounds up this Targon group here. Spider by, realistically, the most I know about is actually that their team owner is actually one of the writers, Alurim, but it's going to be Trickstar, ET Cam, Tark, TTV Koichu, and I'm So Cheeky joining the team here. I know a couple of these guys are promoted gold players here. Don't really expect too much from the Spider Esports team here, but again, competitive experience does matter of new players, and we'll kind of see if they can sneak themselves into playoffs. And with top 4 making playoffs, really shouldn't be too difficult for any of these pool 3 or higher teams. Any additional thoughts here before we get on to Elysium Super Hot in Bilgewater?
I mean, to be honest, this group 3 really looks like the group of life.
100%.
Yeah, group 4 is. I mean, group 4 is looking kind of like deathly, but so is 2. So it depends on who you draw in the next couple times. That determines whether or not it's like like complete death or it's just
I mean, I
just
feel
like
the
top heavy.
Sure. I feel like the teams remaining in pool 4 here, there's 8 of them. A lot of them are kind of unknown teams that are kind of like question mark card quality, to be honest, like either low ranked peaks, former gold teams are kind of promoted up, or it's like unknown competitive players. So there's a lot of question marks in that end. At the same time, kind of looking at these groups here, I do agree this Friar group, it kind of looks pretty dangerous so far here. I mean, ID Blasco and PF Chang's. This is not a particularly easy group to get out of here. And also same here with that Shadow Isles team, very wide open, especially because the Arcane team is a big question mark. Mr. Benjamins, feel free to go into pool 4 situation. 8 of them. Yes, all 8 of them. Randomly, give us the first of the 8, Mr. Benjamins. Cog Coin Flip is joining us here. This is the final roster we got going on here for Cog Coin Flip. We are looking at somewhere. Where the heck is this? I literally had it up actually. A moment. Apologies here, technical difficulties. I may need new glasses. There we are. Fire Vice, Cog Cash Money, Squattenhin, Incarcerated, and Court JJ. Not Court JJ. No, Court JJ. Coming in here, and actually they have a very mid-ish Elo Emerald team here. So we'll see exactly how this team does here. Any thoughts on these teams? I know these are very unknown teams here, so that's perfectly okay.
Yeah, I was just looking at them. The fights I talk about this jungler, Ivern main, disgusting. Guys have banned Ivern against them.
Okay, now why are you giving people tips against a pool 4 team? They're just trying to make playoffs, man. They're just trying to pay the entry fee, have some fun. That's crazy. But no, I mean, this COG team, not super familiar with myself here. I think they're our newest organization. I know we also have, generally speaking here, some kind of more newest, maybe promoted gold players here. So we'll kind of see how they do in the Executioners League with very open field here with Big Chillers, Ina, and Son. Mr. Benjamins, another spin. This is Freud, which is already looking like a very interesting group. We'll see maybe we get a more well-known team. And OSG Sub-Zero, which I believe off the top of my head is the worst rated group team of all the teams in Executioner. So for a well-rounded, I guess, competitive group here in Freud, this is a really a kind of a win here for our boys in Fourier. You're getting a team that generally is not expected to do much here. We're looking at Girl and Paxilise, Dorksy, Achievements, Archies, and Xanaric here. You know, players are really getting promoted from the gold division here up into Plat Emerald, and they're kind of during their first chance here to actually do something. Any thoughts on these guys? I know they're a pretty unknown team.
This is a 9-man roster. Right?
Yes.
And
yes.
this is a 9-man roster where the majority of the roster that's made up didn't even hit Emerald.
Yes. The actual starting roster is actually Plat 1 peakers for the most part. So this is the worst rated roster of anyone in Executioners by peak rank.
I mean that's good for like the 4th team coming in, right?
Yes.
Like the last team coming in, that's insane for them, right? Because at least they can hit the 4th.
100%. If you're about 4th pool 4 team here, pool 4 team, you're kind of looking good here as long as you can take down what's arguably on paper, at least, just on paper, the easiest.
Yes. So this becomes just a top-heavy group. So it's not that bad for anyone coming in here.
It gets that spin for Targon here. I mean, we do have Silver Rose Dynasty, I think one of the more well-known pool 4 teams. They're consistent in like a bottom half APL team, but ideally you'd prefer one of the newer teams of no experience, as opposed to a team like Silver could maybe call someone upset. But instead, we're getting Tufts B. Tufts B here is joining Targon here with Dorado Gaming Mew, actually flying in Spider, Bites, Esports Tarantula. Very, very nice name. And we're going to join with Goose, L Drainer, Honoree, Booty Muncher 67, and Apple Dylan is a team for Tufts B. Any thoughts here on the Tufts boys coming into Aegis?
They got a cool ass elephant on the logo.
They do honestly have one of the best logos I've seen. That elephant alone may give him 4th place, as in we may give him an FF victory and give him 4th place.
I think it's so good for them that they slotted in here. It's actually so insane because like I always rip on college teams because like every time college teams join something that's not like an AML, they're always just so like pissed. But like this is like perfect. This is perfect. This is them getting out into playoffs. Like this is their best opportunity.
Yeah, it is really a format in which your regular season is basically about if you can't win group, just gotta finish top 4 here. Because really winning groups, the only thing that really gives you a huge advantage, for being honest. Everything else is kind of like just gotta make it. And for a tough team, like you said, collegiate teams generally don't perform well. We saw that in ADL. I think that first group in ADL got really lucky when you got 2 collegiate teams. So we'll kind of see how it goes here. Let's get another spin here for Bilgewater. Got a couple remaining teams here. 5 remaining. And this is a actually pretty well-known APL team. Silver Rose Dynasty Divine Strikers coming back with actually a decent amount of their roster again, if I recall correctly. We're looking at the same bot side here from Dynasty. Same time roster from last play here. Did not make qualifiers, I recall, or maybe lost in the first round here, if I recall correctly. Silver Eggshire, Eleanor, Corey, It's None of Yourselves, or Ritanema, and Provolone here coming back. Well-known APL roster. Maybe a roster you've played against. Nothing's if I'm not incorrect, but I'm not exactly sure.
Did I actually? Like
you may have.
Rated them insanely low. Are they actually better than they perceive, or what?
I don't know if they're better, but of all the bottom pool teams, they're the only one who have some APL experience. They were here last year, and they performed. I actually told you guys that right away. They performed. I think they missed qualifiers, so obviously not really a great showing by them. Yes. They finished 2-5 last year in their group, in their conference, excuse me, barely missing out of qualifiers. So it's a team kind of returning to the same bot side. We'll kind of see if the improvements of a top side help here at all, but at least unlike a team like Tufts or a team like OSG Sub-Zero, you maybe think they can take a game off some of the other teams.
They're also one of those 10-man rosters, so have fun
They
facing a completely new team game too.
They are actually a 10-man roster. Wow.
They are. They got Silver Soul, Aaron W, Gonova, Colin Brown, Resilient, and Silver Nighthawk.
Bro, they're a 10-man roster. They can make 2 rosters out of this bad boy.
Okay, you laugh, but when they get 4th and they're in playoffs and they knock you out in the first round, I can't wait to see them all.
I am ID first rounders. That is true. Very true.
It's true. All right, let's get a spin here for Shadow Isles to round up this group. ID first rounders. I can't. I would say Bilgewater right now, it looks like a more competitive group because of the pool 4 team they drew. But Arctic Force Bears, my goodness, Arctic Force Bear here. If I recall correctly, never one of the dope logos. Yes, is it a collegiate team actually, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a generic logo. But we have Benny, Emperor, Nick the Pistol, Blade Dancer, and Carbon coming in here. Another more middle emerald team here. And that rounds up Shadow Isles. Ina, Sun, Bing Chillers, Cog, and Arctic Force Bears. We'll start with Ek here. What are your kind of like your early favorites from this group, and what are your expectations coming in?
It's hard to judge without knowing much about Ina, but I think Sun should be like a top 2 lock in the group. I could see the Big Chillers team having a surprise placement in the group as well if Ina or Kane underperform. And then I feel like the battle for that last 4th playoff spot will be quite close.
Arctic Force Bears and Cog coin flip be there. Mr. Nuffies, any thoughts on this team?
Yeah, I think it's Bing 1, Sun 2, and then it's a fight for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Because I just don't see, like, the thing is I think this Ania team is just gonna get like slotted into 3rd, like based off of ranks purely. But yeah, the other 2 teams, like these aren't bad pool 4, pool 5, like pool like 4 or 5 teams. Like this is like if Ania is just like solo queue warriors and these other 2 players, these other 2 teams scrim enough, it's just gonna be like it could be an easy way into a top 4.
100% here. I mean, that's the
Nuffies, I need the quote. Are you calling Ina Arcane solo queue merchants?
Very true. Yeah. I mean that's not a hot take, right?
Interesting. Well, the pool 1 seed predicted by Nuffies here, not only to not win the group, but to finish 3rd, maybe even 4th. Very interesting take here. Mr. Benjamins, so you got more interesting to fire. Give me the spin. Bare minimum. And they will not be performing at minimum here. Bare minimum. A roster of Sadness, Dira, Badger, Dog Davis, Veracruz. I'm pretty sure off the top of my head, bare minimum, and what's the other team in the group? I apologize. OSG Sub-Zero, the 2 worst ranked teams based on solo queue and also admin discretion. So them going in Fryer is actually what a godsend for both of those teams. Probably wouldn't have a chance. Well, one of them probably would have no chance in any other group. Instead, one of them has to make it out here. And for one of the pool 1 seeds, for one of the group winners, you basically just maybe guarantee yourself a 3-0 result. We'll start with Nuffies here. What are your thoughts on the Fryer group coming in?
You rigged it. This is completely not really rigged. This is like for content. Like you just threw a bad team of a free bone into playoffs. It's so crazy to me.
I mean, I just want to see.
These are the bottom 2 teams, by the way, in my opinion.
They are. I think by solo queue and by also they are the worst 2 teams. And I mean, it's just gonna be so great watching the ID team choke to one of these teams in the quarterfinals, which is kind of why I put them in there. It really is heritage. It is by definition Shady Gecko heritage. Eric, any thoughts on this group? You know what they say? No words speak 1,000 words. Give me that roll for Targon here, Mr. Benjamins. Ted, Dira, to answer, we basically take the peak rank of 2023. We add them up with like kind of give a value and kind of add them up, and then we rank all the teams and we look at the teams and we make slight adjustments plus or minus 1 based on what we know. The pool 4 situation, 8 teams, the rest only had 4, so the biggest group was pool 4 of kind of like more Emerald average teams that don't have a lot of experience. And Glacial Wolves joins this Targon group. If I could copy and paste correctly, that'd be phenomenal. Glacial Wolves joins this Targon group here, and Glacial Wolves roster, before we get started here, is going to be Nano, Caxi, a kind of more well-known plat player. Caxi roster here. Setuix, Pixel Wolf, and Wolf Game Dev. Lining up Targon here. I'll start with Ek here. What are your thoughts on the Targon group coming to Executioner?
I think this should be, I would hope, an easy one for Dorado Mew. And then after that, I can actually see it being like a 4-way slaughter.
Really?
Like going anyway.
I do, if I recall correctly, Spider and XG were some of the lowest ranked pool 2, pool 3 seeds. So for sure, in terms of group, Dorado's for sure expected to win this Targon group here. Nuffies, what are your thoughts on the 4 or 5 teams of Targon?
Yeah, I would imagine that Mew just straight wins this, but I mean, there's definitely opportunity for. Yeah, for 1, it's cool. Like maybe there's a contest for 1 with XG, but then 2 through 5 is just. I'm not a betting man. Like I would never take any of these. I would never take any of these in a bet. Like it's just impossible to predict who's going to be 2 through 5.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, for Mew, it's obviously great. They can kind of give themselves maybe a free matchup in the first round, and for, you know, these other lower ranked teams, maybe they can make a splash and finish second or third and maybe make a deep run here. Bilgewater is a formality. Imperial Gaming, kind of a well-known team in the gold scene here. Coming back here, formerly Illumination. So very old ZGG ODL roster coming in here, organization. And they feature a lineup of the following: Lifton, Noble Bark, Azuri, Meteor AD, and Rin. A team that's, you know, played in the lower ranks here. Coming in here into AEL. Probably one of the stronger of the pool 4 teams, I have to say, at least of the lower rank ones. And they run up a Bilgewater group of ID Supernova, Dorado Gaming Epsilon, Elysium Super Hot, Silver Rose Dynasty, Imperial Gaming. On paper, at least I think, looks to be the most strongest group, but I want to give Nuffy's thoughts here, but Eck.
Yeah, Bilgewater does look like the strongest group. If as long as Watercat's correct on Imperial Gaming, if I truly made a mistake on this team, and they are actually really good, for at least for a pool 4 team, then yeah, this is the strongest group. And especially if SRD are already like APL to AEL players, then yeah, it's definitely the strongest group. Yeah, the only way you would make this group even better is if you moved Epsilon to Freljord and then just took PF Chang's to Bilgewater, and then you'd have like the most banger group in Bilgewater.
100% here. I mean, really, it's gonna be very difficult for if you're one of those like top ID and Dorado being speaking to you guys. You can't really drop not matches. You can't drop games to anyone. I mean, you basically only have 4 games that really matter, to be honest. So it's really a very short regular season, and that effectively means that any suboptimal performance can basically screw you. Eck, any thoughts on this group before we wrap up AEL?
Other than I'm expecting the Dorado and ID team to finish top 2, the other 3 can go anyway. I hope one of these Dorado teams can go on a good run, potentially win the league for Azul's sake more than anyone at this point.
Jesus Christ. Well, I asked Zoe after groups what he thought of the teams, and he said barbecue chicken should be free. When Dorado loses in round of 16 both times, you know that. Thank you everyone for coming to Execution Draw. We'll explain the playoffs before we get out here and kind of wrap up the draw show here. Thank you for Nuffy's and Eck for coming in. To summarize here, top 4 out of 5 make playoffs. 1 cross game, which really is just kind of late tiebreaker, doesn't really matter too much. It's really just for regular season games. And realistically, a double random draw in the playoffs. The first round of 16 is drawn. You know, all the pools are broken with each other, and you can't play someone in your own group. But pool 1 plays pool 4, pool 2, pool 3. And after round of 16 games are done, we relook at the 8 teams remaining and do another draw. That should hopefully kind of keep the situation more fresh. Moving forward, though, thank you for Nuffy. Thank you for coming in. You guys are free to go here. I will wrap up Aegis here in just one moment. A very quick 1-minute intermission, and I'll give the final thoughts here in the Aegis Captains meeting group draw. Thank you everyone for attending, and don't go everywhere. Don't go anywhere, excuse me. All right, about to kick both of Nuffy's and... Thank you for the draw. Give you guys an update on Aegis and what's going on here. So this is kind of the following situation here regarding the update. All schedules will be released by Saturday. We'll be double checking tickets across to make sure everything is good. Please let us know in your tickets or us as soon as possible if anything is wrong so we can fix it. We do have a lot more time than we usually do per splits. You know, first league starts on Monday, so we have like 3 to 4 days and fix everything up. Schedules will be out by Saturday the latest. For AD on AML, I'm trying to get your schedules out by tomorrow because I know you guys have games. Again, to recap the situation here for AML, 28 teams, top 4 makes playoffs. Round of 16 is pool 1 versus pool 4, pool 2 versus pool 3. Can't play people in your own group. After round of 16 is over, we re-rank the 8 teams again and separate between seeded and unseeded. We do another random draw, and that will be the final bracket for the ADL 16 teams. A lot more straightforward. Top 8 makes playoffs, top 4 per group. First gets a pick between the opposite sides, third and fourth, vice versa. So you'll get basically in a cookie cutter scenario, 1A will play against 4B, 2B will play against 3A. It obviously depends on what the first seed chooses. They could technically choose the third seed if they wanted to, and vice versa. For AEL, probably the most wacky format, 20 teams, 4 groups of 5. Top 4 makes playoffs, very short regular season. Actually, regular season's playoffs are 4 weeks, regular season's 5 weeks, so really half and half there. So it's really about performing well. You got to do what you got to do here to get things done. And specifically, top 4 makes playoffs again, pool 1 versus pool 4, pool 2 versus pool 3. Of the 8 teams that are remaining, we reseed them, and the way the reseeding works is kind of based off, matchup determiner. Top 4 seeded, top 4 unseeded, similar to the Champions League format if you watch soccer, and then we draw quarterfinals. And final for APL, anyone who's watching for APL here, it's 8 teams make playoffs. We'll announce your format. It's going to basically be an old NFL style format of top 6 out of 8 make playoffs, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. One chooses the winner of each 2, and then 2 plays the other one. We go in the semifinals. Besides that, again, please let us know if there's any issues or tickets. We'll look into it. We'll look at any issues that happen throughout the sheets. Please keep us updated. Season starts on Monday for ADL, Tuesday for AML, Thursday for AEL, and Friday for APL. Be there. Always have any questions. Can't wait to see you guys. Never age a split, and always provide feedback in the feedback channel or my DMs. Thank you. If you have any questions, please let me know. I did look through the actual chat and Twitch. I don't think I missed any questions. Same for the Discord. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask me questions or ping me or DM me. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.